are here at Hollywood Smoke in Santa Monica for another edition of 10 Count. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Michael Montero and Doug Fischer. Gentlemen, back in late June at the StubHub Center on HBO, Tim Bradley with the 12-round decision over Jessie Vargas, but the man at the center of the controversy is referee Pat Russell. Michael, I'm just going to say this, just my personal opinion. We don't know what could have happened the last 5 seconds, but it seemed to me, based on history and the way the first 11 and a half rounds and the pedigree of Tim Bradley, I don't know, just my opinion, I think Bradley would have found a way to see that last bell.
I think most objective boxing fans would say the same thing, right? Because if you've seen Bradley's fight with Provodnikov, right at the same venue, at the StubHub Center, and plenty of other fights, the guy has a great will. The thing about Bradley is he's in amazing shape, not just good shape, amazing shape. And when you're in that kind of condition, you can recover from shots. And you've talked about this, we've talked about it before, where Bradley got buzzed by Vargas, but he responded. He backed up, he was hurt, but he slipped punches and he clinched.
Yeah.
I don't know if Vargas could have got another shot off in that last 5 seconds.
3 punches.
He knew what to do. Yeah, he lifted his right hand and he blocked a hook as he maneuvered to the ropes where he was going to initiate a hold.
I read one of your recent mailbags after that fight, and I saw some of the public sentiment. I think it's finally about time, and I think the tide has turned, public sentiment. People are now beginning to appreciate the Desert Storm.
Absolutely.
No longer is he that boring guy who got that gift against Pacquiao.
Well, here's the thing. Bradley gives 100%. He gives that effort. That was what was really missing. That's at the heart of the discontent over Mayweather-Pacquiao, is that the perception is Pacquiao didn't give 100%, didn't show up 100% healthy, and Mayweather could have done more in earning that deserved unanimous decision. People want effort with any fight, particularly a super fight, but any fight you see on TV, even a club fight, people are going to get up and they're going to applaud two fighters who get in there. If it's a 4-rounder, guys who have no talent, no skill, if they go out and give everything they have, if you know nothing about these guys, you're going to get up and you're going to applaud that effort. And that's what Bradley gives you. Plus, as you said, he's a superb athlete. You know he gave 100% in the gym. And he lets his hands go. He's not just a technician in there. He has skill. He has the athleticism. He has the technique, but he has that aggression as well. And what I love about him is that he's flawed. His technique is, he's not a defensive wizard in there. He's not a defensive genius. He gets hit. He gets hurt. It happened in the final seconds of the fight with Jessie Vargas. And he's also reached a point, I think he's had enough wars where even a guy like Vargas, who's not a big puncher, if they connect cleanly, he's going to get hurt. But I think that's part of the drama. That's part of what makes his fights compelling.
Michael, that day you actually shadowed the commission. You were behind the scenes. And what I found unfair was that all of a sudden Pat Russell's age, which I didn't really know before, I still look at Pat Russell as an elite referee and judge, that if he's in a fight, I know we're getting a fair call. If he makes a mistake, it's honest. I just thought all of a sudden all these people on Twitter and the social media saying, Pat Russell's that old guy who drove through the 7-Eleven in his car and we should take away his license. I'm sorry. I think that was just complete unfair second guessing.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that it worked out that way because I did shadow the commission that day, and we were with Jack Reese and Andy Foster, the guys at the California State Athletic Commission. They were talking about situations just like that. We were asking them, how do you respond? How do you handle a situation where you're getting pounded on Twitter, you're getting pounded on social media? If you make a mistake, you own up to it. Yeah. Pat did. I think it had no bearing on the fight. For Jessie Vargas, for 11 and a half rounds, you let yourself be pretty much moved around by an older man, out-hustled, out-worked, and pushed around the ring, really, I thought. So, you landed that one shot at the end of the fight, but then you couldn't follow up.
Pat Russell made a good point. He said, Steve, I have to go by precedent also. He said, Tim Bradley, Provodnikov, he was the referee. And he said, I remember when he got hurt, he said, Steve, he had the presence of mind in the last 10 seconds to take a knee to run out the clock against Provodnikov. And if you go back, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an ophthalmologist. If you look at the HBO broadcast, when they separate him with Pat Russell, Bradley's eyes looked relatively clear. He didn't look like Meldrick Taylor against Chavez in the final seconds of that fight.
Absolutely not. And you talked about Russell in that fight with Bradley and Provodnikov. If that was a different ref, we might have been robbed of a really great fight. There are other refs that would have stopped that fight, but Russell paid attention, saw that Bradley had recovered, and kept that fight going. he made a mistake. I was I was in Bradley's corner, and I couldn't hear the 10-second clap because when Bradley got nailed, the crowd went nuts. It was hard to hear.
Doug, in a perfect world, and we always talk about deserve, who should fight who. At 147, if Mayweather's all about fighting who deserves it, I don't think there's any doubt. Take away, Manny Pacquiao or anything else, or the Cold War or whatever divisions. Tim Bradley, to me, clearly deserves the Mayweather fight, which he won't get.
Absolutely, because he's a perennial welterweight contender. He's a former title holder at that weight. He regained the WBO title, but he's basically a peer of Mayweather's because he's the only guy out there who's fought both Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez at welterweight, and his official record, he's 2-1 against that Hall of Fame duo. So and he's still young. He's still in his athletic prime. He may not be at his absolute peak as a fighter, but he's that guy who's got that body of work that is getting him close to almost being sort of like a borderline.
Oh, I think he's in Canada.
I think he's there.
He's got wins, against two guys who are first ballot Hall of Famers. So that really puts him right up to the doorstep.
He's taken four O's. I think he's taken 4.
Absolutely, and he had a great run at 140 pounds.
And he's been in a fight of the year.
Yes.
To me, that is a huge notch on the belt.
He's got a tremendous body of work. He's somebody who's been in the boxing eye for almost 10 years. Absolutely, he really is the most deserving person to fight Mayweather. And if boxing was in the same state that it was like in the 80s, that's a fight that we would have seen already, probably.
So there you have it. That's it for this edition of 10 Count. On behalf of Doug Fischer and Michael Montero, this is Steve Kim saying till the next round, goodbye, everybody.